Over the years, many games have failed, but not many as spectacularly as The Warset did. In the mid-2000s to 2010s, the zombie craze was at an all-time high in both films, TV shows, and games. Games like Left 4 Dead paved the way for a million zombie shooters, and when the DayZ mod for Arma 2 released in the beginning of 2012, it seemed like everyone's prayer for an online zombie MMO was answered. The mod quickly reached 1 million players within a few months, and ultimately led to the creator Dean Hall being hired by Bohemia Interactive to develop the standalone game DayZ. Just as DayZ was winning ground in 2012, another game was announced called The Warset. It was developed by Hammerpoint Interactive and published by Arctis Entertainment Group. Namely, one person is more interesting in this story than anyone else, and that is Sergei Titov, an executive producer from Arctis. Sergei had previously worked on games like League of Legends, but was also the creator of the engine for one of the worst games ever released, Big Rigs Over the Road Racing. I still don't know how he landed the gig at League of Legends. I assume it was very early on in development, because the rest of his resume is not exactly very impressive. Anyways, The Warset initially got a lot of flack because it was accused of ripping off DayZ, but Sergei Titov claimed that the game had been in development before the launch of DayZ mod. However, press releases and since then deleted forum posts directly contradicts this, as they more or less confirmed that the game was not conceptualized until after the DayZ mod released. And anyone who would talk about this on their forums would be hit with the swift justice of a banhammer, so that's the first red flag of this story. Now, because Bohemia Interactive hired Dean Hall to create a standalone game for DayZ, the Warset team realized one thing: they had to get the game out as quickly as possible in order to capitalize on the demands of the gamers. And how would they do that, considering the game had to release the same year it was conceptualized, you might ask? Well, first of all, they used their previous title, War Inc.'s game engine, and turned it into a zombie game, so they essentially just reskinned their own game. And second of all, well, the game was incredibly bad, so there wasn't really much need for a long development time, to be honest. So here are the events, as I've gathered, leading up to the release of this terrible game. So the game was conceptualized around May of 2012, and the alpha released in October of 2012 to a very disappointed crowd that found out that the game is not only incredibly terrible, but it's also just a reskin of the previously mentioned War Inc. Furthermore, people quickly found out that the game's TOS, or Terms of Service, is literally just League of Legends' TOS copy-pasted. Around a week after release, Sergei Titov comes under fire for calling spawn campers a very homophobic slur. In the end of November, the clan feature, which was very sought after by the community, was finally added to the game, but it was added as a paid option, which after a lot of criticism became a free option. However, the ability to add more than 20 characters to a clan remained a paid option within the in-game store. And that's for a paid game in 2012, which is still not released, by the way, at this point. A day after, it is found out that whenever people request refunds for the game, they're told that their info will be put on a blacklist that prohibits them from purchasing things related to Warset, as well as updating their terms of service to disallow anyone who accepts the terms of service to actually get a refund, which is illegal in most places. In mid-December, Hammerpoint announced a massive ban wave of hackers that ended up hitting a ton of innocent players, as well as causing a massive uproar in the community because a ton of players just got banned for hacking, even though they didn't hack, because they just lazily mass banned a lot of people. On the 17th of December 2012, the game is finally released in Steam, but players quickly noticed that the game description promises a ton of features that aren't implemented in the game yet. Anyone who complained about this or posted any type of criticism on the Steam forums would get swiftly banned by the developers. Sergei Titov claimed that 93% of their customers liked the game, with over 40% calling it perfect, and I'm assuming his respondents in this group were all employees at Hammerpoint Interactive, because I don't know how they got these numbers otherwise. The day after release, they make an apology and unban all legitimate players, and on the same day they raised the 1 hour respawn time of a character to 4 hours. And yes, if your character died in the game, you'd now have to wait 4 hours instead of 1 hour, which was already insane that you have to wait 1 hour before you can play on the same character again. Of course, you could behave like a good little piggy and buy in-game currency to instantly resurrect your character instead of waiting the 4 hours, which is just, I mean, that's just mobile game behavior, really. It is insane, and you gotta remember that microtransactions nowadays are crazy, but back in 2012 it really wasn't that widespread in the PC gaming community, so this was just I mean, it was the biggest controversy of 2012 pretty much in the gaming community. 2 days later, on the 19th of December, Steam removed the game from their store, so they completed their any percent speedrun in who can get the quickest takedown on the Steam store of any game ever. It was eventually re-released in February of 2013, and in June of 2013 they renamed the game to Infestation Survivor Stories, which allegedly was due to trademark issues with the World War Z movie that was coming up, which is probably true, but it was also a great move considered how much negativity was associated with the name War Z. So when YouTubers tried to inform of this name change and that the game was really just the old War Z with a new name, loads of them had their videos copyright struck by Hammerpoint Interactive and moved on in order to silence the critics. So they never really stopped with their scummy behavior. They constantly harassed the community and treated the community like garbage, and I don't know how they ever thought it was going to be a success. Well, in the end the game ultimately became free to play, but according to Steam, pretty much no one has played it in years. The game somehow managed to sell 2.8 million copies, and who knows how much they made in microtransactions of poor people just trying to respawn their characters. This is just another proof that we really need to think and do research before spending money, because all in all, this get rich quick scheme they had, it really ended up paying out for them. And I was one of those people who fell for it back then, because I was so big into the DayZ hype that I bought into the War Z hype before it even came out, and I don't remember why, but I never got to refund it. And luckily nowadays we know better. Luckily things are different nowadays, right? We definitely do not have fairly unknown game developers promising impressive MMO zombie games that are surrounded by massive controversies, right? Right? I mean, the future is looking bright for all you zombie fans out there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more. Also consider sharing the video, it helps way more than you think. I mean, you can share it to your friends or on your Discord or whatever. And if you have any ideas for videos, let me know in the comments. Bye bye.